him back then? Could you imagine that he was going to be all of this, all the great things that he is now? Could you see it in him back then? The potential for that greatness.
No, I was just hoping.
That's an honest answer. That's an understatement.
What about you? What about you, Pops? When you think back then and you look at your wife now, did you see the potential for her to be these?
I knew she was good. I knew she was wholesome. But to be as forceful and do things and have so much going on for herself, I didn't see it at that time. I grew into manhood. She grew into womanhood.
I want you to talk about you guys' spiritual growth together, because that's definitely a very interesting story.
Well, when we talk about it, I'll say, when we first got married, I was Methodist. My wife was Baptist, and I grew up in the church all my life. And when I was coaching and teaching McGregor, I was a steward in my church, which is just like a deacon in the Baptist church, and I believed in God, believed everything, but I hadn't given my heart to God. I hadn't turned my life over to Him. And my wife, like when we moved to Houston, we joined Mount Baptist Church, and my wife was faithfully going and would read the Bible and praying. I would go to church, but I wasn't reading the Bible. I wasn't reading hymnals and singing hymnals and reading scriptures, doing anything. I was kind of going to church and going through the motions. Then it finally hit me that my wife was happier than I was because she had Christ in her life. So we were here in this house. I went upstairs and talked to her and told her that I wanted to have Christ in my life and start living like she would live, because she seemed happy with it. And that's when I converted to being a Christian and living the Christian life.
When I first married my husband, he was wild. He was wild. He was wild. He still had a lot of wildness from college still in him. And there were things that that was in his life that I really didn't want in his life. And I knew he was not close to the Lord. I knew this. But I didn't want to be a nagging wife. And this is the truth. What I did, I started praying. And I didn't nag him about his habits, things that he knew that wasn't, that he shouldn't, do whatever. And he said, Kathy, I'm going to change for you. And I wouldn't say anything. And he just started changing. But he didn't know I would go into my prayer closet and I would pray for him. And I prayed for him for years. And I prayed, and he just started changing. And I knew, I had a feeling certain things spiritually wasn't right within him. But I never confronted him about it. So when we were in this house, and one day he came upstairs and told me, he said, Kathy, I just feel that I'm really not saved. And I didn't say anything, but I felt it too. And he said, Kathy, and he just said, I feel like I need to talk to the Lord and get serious with Him. And so I was upstairs in the guest bedroom, and I said, well, just kneel by the bed and start talking to the Lord. So he got down and he started doing serious praying. And I quietly walked to the side of the room and I started praying to the Lord for him. And he continued and continued. And when he got up off his knees, he told me, Kathy, I'm saved. I'm saved. And I said, I know you are now. The Lord put on my heart to give Vernon to him and let him deal with him the way he wanted to deal with him. And I did. I allowed God to be God in his life. And God brought him in.
What has helped you to get through the tough times? Because you've been married for several decades. What has helped you to get through those times? We pray a lot
about different things. We got so now we give a lot of stuff to the Lord.
Yeah.
I used to not to release it. I used to be in the middle of the night walking in here crying and not being able to sleep. It's like that. We've learned how to release things to the Lord and pray about them Why worry about it when the Lord gonna take care of it? If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. The Lord gonna take it.
I've given it to the Lord.
One of the worst things I remember ever saying to my wife, I regret ever said, we was having a crisis, and Mom said, "Okay, I gave it to the Lord." I said, "Yeah, you live in a la la land." And she just kind of looked at me and smiled. And I said, "She not mad at me, but..." And after I came to my senses, I said, she said she gave it to the Lord, and that should be enough. I should have accepted that. So I told her, "You live in a la la land." And I wish I never said that ever in my life.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, very much so. I remember that. I remember that when you told me that.
But the most important question is, when the crisis was over, was it?
It worked out.
It worked out.
That's good.
It worked out. It truly did work out.
Statistically, and just because I know, there's a lot of people that got married about y'all's time that aren't together anymore. What do you think is different? What have you guys done different? Do you think it's just...
The best thing I would say, flexibility. We have two different type of personalities. Mine is more laid back. My wife is more forceful and go get it, and the things that she's good at, we let her do them. Things I'm good at, I do. And sometimes we butt heads and different things like that, but we're pretty flexible with each other. We get in each other. We don't get in each other's. We don't get each other's space about things that we know how to do. Some things I do better, some things she do better, and we try to have a balance. A lot of things like we go out to eat, she picks, cause I eat anything. My clothes, she picks, cause I'm the colorblind. My haircut, you tell me how she want to cut.
I'm not that controlling.
I'm just saying things like that. I don't know how to do those things. I don't know how to pick out clothes. I don't know how to do this. I don't know
He can pick out clothes. He just can't tell the difference between blue and black.
Well, I'm glad he got white then.
So she helped me in all those different areas. And then sometimes when she's overbearing to different people and talking too much and like that, I kind of wean her back because she has a talk. She can talk. And so certain things about her that I help her with, certain things about me she helped me with.
I think, I guess the best thing that we have is that we are each other's best friends. And we established that, I guess, within our first year of marriage.
Our second year.
Second year.
We were in Livingston.
Yeah. Well, second year, 30s, where we would spend hours just talking to each other, especially on weekends. And we'd have
Friday nights, I come from football games. I sit all night long talking to my wife. And when about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I throw the paper, go to the paper so I can read all the scores. Then we go to sleep.
And so we spent a lot of time. We spent a lot of time just talking, and that was our routine. On the weekends, sometimes all night the sun would be coming up, and we just sit around just talking about, everything, and that's how I learned a lot about his childhood, about life experiences he had, about his family, his friends, and stuff like that, and his hopes, his dreams, his desires. And we just became each other's best friend. And to this day, we still love to talk to each other. And we sometimes, since both of us are retired now, sometimes we just sit on this couch and we can talk hours together about a lot of different things. And now our conversations are deeper and not all, surface or silly or fun, or sometimes it's spiritual and it gets very deep, and so we are still each other's best friend.